Last week, Mars conjoined Uranus in the North Node, and next week, Mars squares Saturn. So whatever rebellion or artificial momentum you created or whatever upheaval you started might be stopped or halted or restricted in some way next week. On August 2nd, Venus sextiles Uranus and Mars. So coming off the Mars-Uranus conjunction, there's a connection with Venus. So an opportunity for something delightful, or your pleasure seeking runs into a bit of danger. An opportunity for a satisfying bit of lust. There could be like a sudden relationship formed, or a sudden connection that ends up being lustful, magnetic. It's an interesting aspect coming right off of the Mars-Uranus connection. Mars-Uranus North Node. On August 4th, Mercury enters Virgo. So, things can make sense again. Not that they don't make sense in Leo. Coherence is available in Leo, for sure, but with Mercury in Leo. And paradoxically, coherence becomes more and more questionable the further into Virgo Mercury transits, because Mercury will oppose Neptune on August 21st. Oh, so Mercury opposes Neptune August 21st, but it enters shadow on August 20th, so that's when things start to get junked up and glitchy. I personally, it depends on your relationship with Mercury, but I personally find the shadow period and the approximate week leading up to Mercury's retrograde station, which will be Mercury stations retrograde September 10th. So late August, early September, it will be the finest form of glitchiness with an exalted Mercury. In Virgo, Mercury is the planet of communication and travel. So in Virgo, it wants to sort details. The version that Virgo refers to is any virgin material. So in the lore, it's a virgin holding wheat. If you've just harvested wheat, you need to process it. With Virgo, I think of processing. Taurus is kind of a process. And Capricorn is establishing a process, or establishing the way things are. But with Mercury and Virgo, I think of processing, or even triage, the action of sorting according to quality. It wasn't until World War I that this term came to be associated with categorizing soldiers according to the severity of their wounds. But the word triage just means to sort. Mercury is much more calm and less frenetic in Virgo than in its other home sign, Gemini. Virgo is also one of the human signs. Virgo is a virgin, a human. Libra is the scales, which is an inanimate object, but the air signs are considered human signs. It's relational. Aquarius, another human sign. The water bearer, it's an actual human. Gemini, the twins, another human sign. So the human signs are the air signs, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, and one earth sign. Mercury exalts in Virgo. Most planets rule two signs, and they exalt in one of the signs they don't rule, with the exception of Mercury, who exalts in one of their home signs. Mercury being about exceptions. All the planets have an equinox except Mercury. And all the human signs of the zodiac are air, except Mercury's earth sign. Mercury in Virgo wants to separate what's valuable and important and worthwhile from what's a waste of time and resources. You're throwing away what needs to go and you're keeping what needs to stay. If you need to make a plan, consider doing it from August 10th through 17th, depending on how that hits your own chart. That would be Mercury in the middle of Virgo. Mercury in Virgo. I think of miniaturization because of the attention of detail. Miniaturization in the dictionary is the process of using technology to make things very small. I mean, Virgo is certainly not about shrinking things, but it is about looking at the small parts of all things, sometimes to the detriment of being able to see the forest for the trees. But you need both. You need the finite, and to keep an eye on it, and you need the infinite, the big picture. So that would be the Virgo-Pisces axis, and Mercury versus Jupiter. Anyway, what I'm talking about right now is Mercury transiting Virgo. Mercury will station retrograde in Virgo on August 20th. The zodiac has associations with different parts of the body. So it has associations with regions of the body, but also with organs, working parts. Virgo has associations with the small intestine. So if you think of Mercury's thinking and connecting things, making associations, and things like delivery and travel, that's what the small intestine does. It absorbs the right stuff and rejects the stuff that needs to be rejected. It sends nutrients to the proper places. Mercurial in its ability to know what things go where, and its ability to allow things to travel safely where they need to go. The small intestine can be equated with intellectualizing in one way, in the way Virgo does, where it can separate what's important from what's not, what's needed, what is unnecessary. And also with delivery and travel and wayfinding. Mercury's associations with roads, literal physical roads, with Virgo. You're on the earth and you're traveling, and with wayfinding, actual signage and what it communicates. Finding your way through the physical world. Whereas with Gemini, there's like the transmission of information. It's more about that. Mercury in Virgo is empirical. And I think of analytics, like what's going on. You've grown and harvested, you've accumulated the traffic, you're getting all the data. Now what do you do with it? And how do you... One time I took a data science course for fun. Anyway, data as a science, as a discipline, there's a whole lot of attention placed on how the data is collected. What data are you collecting? Where did it come from? What is the legitimacy or viability of this data? Sorting what is good data from what is bad data. And then also, how do you use it? Like, if you have a vast amount of data, you could do a lot of things with it. You can just show like one facet of it. Or how do you visualize all facets of a data set all at once? Mercury in Virgo has the wherewithal to accomplish this. There's a groundedness in Earth to Mercury's seeking of the right information and how to connect it properly. Another thing I think of with Mercury in Virgo gets proper amounts of trace minerals. Trace minerals being minute presence of certain chemicals. Mercury in Virgo detects and knows what to do with such minute presences. The term trace also has associations with the term vestige, and the Latin vestigium pertains to a footprint, which I think is really interesting in regards to travel, communication and travel. It's not the foot, which would be Pisces and Jupiter. It's the footprint, the evidence, and what you do with that information. Is it important information or is it superfluous? I mean, Taurus is more of a process, and Virgo is like pre-processing or post-production. Taking the whole thing and connecting the right parts together, editing the right parts together, knowing what to do with the whole and its parts. How to use the sum of its parts most effectively. Mercury in Virgo is the generalist, even in specialty. Mercury enters shadow on August 20th, which means it reaches the degree that it's going to eventually station direct at. And Mercury will be in the sign of Virgo until August 25th. And then again from September 24th to October 10th. As I'm recording this, it just became the hour of Mercury. Next week is kind of a lot. So this period, not much. Next week is kind of a lot. Mars squares Saturn, and Venus opposes Pluto, and we have the full moon in Aquarius.